Hey, we're learning. What would I do without you, mate, today? That's brilliant. Okay, so that's that. Everything looks cool there.
55 viewing.
It's lovely. Welcome, 55 viewing. Wonder that should be okay. Get my microphone all. Hello, everybody. We're here. It's 1:30, which gives us half an hour to just settle in and just see how this all works, because we've got a new kind of app that joins together with this live, which is called StreamYard. And what that allows us to do is bring a guest on. So I'm learning so much from my dear friend at the side of me here. Yes, this is a beautiful soul helping me. You want to stick your head in and say hello?
Hi, guys.
Yeah, so we're very lucky to have a beautiful soul helping out tonight here at this end, because this is the end that I need. What I really would have liked to have done. How do we know when somebody's going to come on? Do they just come? Will it just? It'll pop up.
Yeah.
So the other thing is to try and get this feed onto the screen. Because that would be nice if that's possible. So he said something about hover over. Dom said hover over the comments.
Can you right click on the comments thing so move?
Back. I can go back again, or back. So I reckon we should just leave it as it is. What do you say?
On this one, I would say, until we figure it out.
Yeah, or maybe get the other one what Dom's on, and he can explain to us how we can put it on here. So that's great. Hi, everybody. Hi, John. Hi, Sonia. Dana, Ruth, Debbie. Is that Shauna? There's so many people jumping on, which is great. Thanks, guys. I've got my my tea. I have my tea here, all ready to clear my parasites. Looking forward to tonight. I've got to admit, I'm looking forward. Rich is setting up, so it should be wonderful. I think what I should do now is knock off my phone completely.
To open device set.
No, we don't want to open anything. Thank you. Okay. So, is the sound okay? Can you hear me? Can you hear me well? Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm doing fine, thank you very much. Really well. Been working very hard. Look a bit of a scruff, sorry. But I've been working extremely hard. Late last night, I was only thinking this. I don't think I've had a real holiday, in, I think, 7 years. Every time I go somewhere, it's a working kind of time off, but it's not really time off because I'm fully working. So, yeah. So I'm sure a lot of you guys would understand that as well. But I enjoy my work, so it doesn't matter if I'm writing a book. I've just been working on these. This is a beautiful cherry picked. I call them cherry picked because I look through thousands of them all the time through my friends. And this is fluoride. It's beautiful. I've just been working on that through the night. Gorgeous. It's hard to see, but the color is fabulous. So I've just been working on them this afternoon, and some green kyanite. when I finish the show tonight, when we finish tonight, I'll be working on these, which is a beautiful hand-picked selection of Tektite, really great quality. And as you can see, I'm wearing a piece of Tektite right now, beautiful piece. So when I finish working on these, they'll go onto the website, as you all know by now. And around me is a lot of shungite. So here's shungites everywhere. I haven't actually put these on the website as yet. Maybe I should. But I bought about 50 of these. These are gorgeous. And I just lay them around. I normally have oh, it's here, my phone. So this is for my phone. There you go. That's another shungite. Isn't that beautiful? What a lovely design. So that keeps me in good energy completely. You know what? I might have a bit of background music. It's really, really quiet in here. So maybe I'll switch the phone on and just put a bit of background music on for me. I feel comfortable with background music on, guys. It's probably because I've been doing it for so many years on YouTube that the background music always makes me feel more comfortable, even though I love silence. It won't be loud. It'll just be for my own comfort. You know, we all have our comforts when we're doing shows, you know. I realize that when I'm doing these videos, I realize that having a screen of myself in front of me, I've got so familiar with myself and so familiar with the image of me talking that it's so easy for me to talk. Whereas if somebody now was to stick a camera in my face, I don't think I'd be able to be the same person. Strange how this works. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm obviously going to go now to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel and get the music, the healing music. Just type in, there it is. Nice. That's not mine. See, just that little bit of music makes me happy. Hey, I want my music. I want it now. Are you all looking forward to listening to Richie? Are you all looking forward to the conversation we're going to have? Has anybody got any questions? Actually, I've got enough questions. I've sat down and did some meditation. I've got some questions. But yeah, if you've got something that you'd like to ask him, then this is a great opportunity to ask me. Great. I'm just looking at some of your messages. Love Richie. Yes, don't we all? Bring on Richie. Yeah, I'd love to, but he's just getting the place ready. And Richie's on in 20 minutes from now, guys. So you're going to have to just bear with us. I did this just to set up because this is the first time I've done a live stream with the new StreamYard. So it looks okay. It seems easy enough. Let's see if we can have no issues as we run through this. And I tell you what I'd like to do. I can't see where it says record. Now that would be a good thing. I'm hoping we can record this. Let me just go and ask Neil. He's having a conversation, but I can't see record anywhere. Interesting. Just let me go and grab him, but he's on the phone. So just chat amongst each others. No, nothing there. Thanks, Suzanne. That's really kind. Thank you. They are beautiful. I'm very lucky to have beautiful people who work alongside me. Really, really lucky. All of them. They're all beautiful. Libyan desert. I've just taken a piece off, actually. I've just been wearing a piece. I've just actually got some back from Bali this morning. A beautiful collection of Libyan desert quartz just now. Just came this morning. Beautiful. I'll be working on them this week. The oil I'm using at the moment is Awakening. Please sit down. No, it's okay. Yeah, it'd be nice to... that I want to get rid of. Sorry, I need to get rid of that noise. I can't find a record button. Can you? Yeah, just help yourself. So take that off.
It might record automatically.
Really? So
Check on it.
Mm. Do you think there'll be any problem if we click settings?
No.
Have you tried it?
I did see it. I did see the. Yeah, automatically.
Hey, we're recording automatically, guys. So that's great news. Amazing, great stuff. You don't have to worry about anything then. Neil, you're an absolute gentleman and a scholar, and thank you so much for that. Thanks. Are you all right? Yeah, you're all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Be back in a few moments. Yeah. Thanks so much. Great. That was Neil. Neil is a really nice guy. Really nice and very helpful. Okay. Right, just a little housekeeping. Okay, this isn't an interview, guys. This is two guys having a chat. So just set that in your mind, because one, to be an interviewer, you need to train for years. I'm not an interviewer. I get excited, and I sometimes interrupt, and I don't mean to. So I'm going to do my best to keep my mouth closed and just ask the question. But sometimes I get excited and like a little boy. So if I get excited, please bear with me. Don't get too upset. Okay, you can remind me. Calm down. So I just spoken to Richie, and he's coming on at 6 o'clock. Is that 6 o'clock GMT time? Have I got it right? Maybe I've got it wrong. I said 6 o'clock, but maybe it's 7 o'clock. I don't know. Anyway, we'll soon figure it out. GMT 6 o'clock. That means, is that 7 o'clock my time? I don't know. Oh my God. What am I like? What am I like, guys? Maybe I've got it wrong. He spoke to me, about 40 minutes ago, I think. I swear to God, I have no idea. I am rubbish with time. I am rubbish with times. Okay, well, anyway, listen, you're on, you're here. If he turns up at 6, that's great. If he doesn't, we'll see where we go from there. Oh, you're such a Yorkshire pudding. You really are. All right, well, listen, talk to me. What should we talk about then? What should we talk about? There's got to be something we can talk about. Remember, we can't talk about anything to do with Maxine. Okay, no 3-dart finish. No 4+1 G talking, because I'm on my final strike on here. So let's keep it clean. Let's keep it clean. We are expecting Richie at 5 GMT. Okay, I got in my head. 6 o'clock, right? And I put GMT, so I don't know. Let's see. If he comes on, he comes on. If he doesn't, then we'll just keep. I can't believe I've done this. It's because there's an hour difference here in Spain, guys. Okay, so I'm always confused with the time difference. Imagine if I lived in Thailand, I'd be totally confused with everything. But you know what they say? There's no such thing as space and time. We can't use the V word, Gary. Let's not talk about the V word anymore. We already know what the V word does. So let's talk about something else. Any questions while we're on here, guys? Anything that you'd like to ask? We're only spirits in spacesuits. Yes, we sure are. Don't say the V word. That's right. Don't say it. You can say it, but not loud. How are the tacos in Spain? I thought they're meant to be in Mexico. I don't bloody know. I tell you, the tapas ain't that bad, but it's a bit oily. The tapas is a bit oily. They like to use a lot of oil, but the oil is good. But the problem with the oil is, most of you probably already know this, you shouldn't cook oil. Well, how am I cooking my food then? Well, you can try other oils. You can try coconut oil, but not oil, not oil, because it's not good for your body. Oh, he's here. Oh my God, you got here on time. Listen, I
What do you
think
mean? Oh my God, I got
Listen.
here on time. I'm Mr. Punctuality. What's wrong with you?
because I said 6 o'clock GMT.
You ballsed it up, didn't you?
But we're here, and that's all that matters. Do you know what, Richard? First question. Everybody.
Oh, we are live. Oh, that's okay. I thought we'd have a minute before we went live. So we are live.
We're live. We're here.
Excuse me.
We're here with a few people who have jumped on right now, but a few will jump on in an hour and say, "Hang on a minute."
But it'll automatically upload to your channel when it's finished, won't it?
Exactly. I didn't know that,
Yeah.
but my mate Neil came along and said, yeah, he's just looked into it and it'll upload automatically. So that's brilliant. Richard, lovely to see your face.
To see you, lovely.
Everybody has been sending me messages all day saying, I don't want to ask Richie a question. I just want him to know that we miss him and love him. Do you realize how many people actually love you and miss you?
No,
Can you imagine that?
but it's nice to hear that. Excuse me. No, it really is. Thank you to anybody who sent such messages. I really appreciate it.
It's beautiful.
It's great.
It's beautiful, Richie. Honestly, everything that's been people that have been talking about you. Some people have been concerned. Some people have like, I hope he's had a great rest. For me, it was like, you know what? The universe works in mysterious ways. I think you've got that by now. You can never say anything's for sure. Nothing's 100% in life. We just see how it goes from day to day, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Shall we address the elephant in the room straight away? Shall we?
I think that's one of the questions asked. So yeah, maybe if you want to. First question was you've been missed, right? So
well, thanks very much. Yeah. Look, I decided at the end of July to rebuild my studio, and it's been a disaster from the get-go. That's about the size of it, really. We attempted to change over to a kind of a fully digital system. It's not easy. It takes several days to do that. But the equipment that we purchased from a company in Italy is it's just not up to scratch. In fact, it malfunctioned. So that set us back weeks because that's got to go back to Italy now. In fact, it's only going to be collected tomorrow to be taken back to Italy on account of the fact that we're in August and people disappear in southern Italy for 2 or 3 weeks. They do it everywhere. And in Spain, of course, I totally get that. So it will be picked up tomorrow. I'll be refunded, of course. The show will be refunded. Not I'll be refunded. The show will be refunded. And we've already purchased another digital broadcast console, but that's going to take a bit of time to arrive and it's going to take a bit of time to put in. So I should be up and running around about, I think at the very latest, the middle of September, at the very latest. But I'm not on holiday anymore, so I'll be working. I'll be doing things around the website and I'll be putting articles and stories and stuff on the website during that period before I come back. But it was just an absolute disaster. We bought a state-of-the-art, all bells and whistles, brand new technology desk, and it hasn't worked because it's I don't have the terminology. It was broken, essentially, to be pretty blunt about it. We spent weeks trying to figure out what was wrong with it, spent a fortune bringing in BBG sound engineers to look at it and everything else. I mean, it was horrendous. And in the end, the Italian company admitted that the fault was theirs and there was nothing they could do about it.
Wow.
Okay, well, thanks for admitting it after 3.5 weeks. So we'll send it back to you and we'll be refunded then. Yeah, but we're not there at the moment and we won't be until around about now. So that's just the way it has been. And there's nothing I can do about that. Nothing. No, or Paul Ripley from Fab Radio, my engineer, or anybody else. It's just one of those things.
How about if we stand back and say, well, maybe there's something else to it? The bigger picture is that maybe Richie needed a bit of a break. Maybe
we all need a break. You know, once we get into August, anybody who works anywhere is about ready for a break anyway. Every employee, every worker in the world come August time has had enough and needs a bit of a break. Yeah, I was exhausted. And through July I was knackered.
You look well, Richard.
I've had a great look. We went to Aberdovey in Wales, in Snowdonia, in the national park. Just walked the dogs on the beach. There was an absolute no bells and whistles holiday. There was nothing involved in it. There were no pub lunches. There were no nights out. We had 7 nights in a chalet in the middle of nowhere. Bliss. And it was amazing. Absolute bliss. I've never rested so well. The missus never rested so well. The dogs loved it. And it's given me a bit of kind of renewed energy. And I'm raring to go now, to be honest.
Just as an observation, Richie, somebody looking in the time that you were doing all of this until this moment, have you had any chest infections or any issues at all?
No, but I haven't for some time, to be honest. No, I haven't. No, no, health-wise couldn't be better.
Okay, good. I just have a strong sense that over these 20 years that the human body, when stressed and looking into certain things that is a struggle to find the answer to, but trying to share the truth with the world, that sometimes it has an impact on the physical body and can attack certain parts of the body because of the field that you work in. Like there's a lot of stress comes with a job, and that turns to physical. And I said to you before, I always felt that you take on a lot. Even though you're strong and you're powerful and you're thick-skinned, it still seeps in. It still comes into you, and it affects the body. And that's why the chest, the lungs are normally an effect of what we're saying or what we're not saying. Do you know what I mean? Does that make any sense or none to you?
Oh no, it makes lots of sense. Like, look, I've been doing my job one way or another for 20 years, with a couple, well, more than 20 years, with a couple of interruptions here and there. So I know that relentlessly pushing yourself to do 14, 15 hours a day, producing content, eventually catches up with you. And it inevitably results in illness. And for me, it's always been bronchial stuff. It does. Yeah, it's absolutely the body's way of saying, look, it's time to take a step back. But look, the world I operate in, I'm the chief cook and bottle washer, even. Washer.
Dishwasher.
At the Richie Allen show. There's me, doing 3 jobs. And that's a fact. That's not nonsense. That's a fact. Anybody who's ever worked in broadcasting knows that I do 3 jobs a week. Yeah. And I love it. I generally love it. I get a great buzz out of it, just about getting on air at 5 to 5 every day, just about making it every day, the buzz of the live show. But then afterwards, the technical stuff, getting it on air, getting it online, and then beginning again, thinking about the following day.
I don't think people understand.
Well, you wouldn't unless you'd worked in it, and you've had a bit of an insight into it. I know you have. Our mutual friend in Ireland has worked at RTE, and they understand it. But I wouldn't expect the average person to understand it. Why would they? No more than I would understand about how a civil engineer goes about his or her job, or how a pilot goes about his or her job. I don't understand that. So it never bothers me that people don't get it. I do sometimes wonder if they think it's an exaggeration when I say I work 16, 17, 18 hours sometimes a day. It isn't an exaggeration. It's a 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock in the evening, 11 o'clock in the evening job. It never stops. Yeah. And so eventually, of course, it's bound to catch up with you. So maybe you're right. Maybe the universe was saying, right, look, you needed a little bit more time than ordinarily you would expect to have for yourself, downtime. I've not been twiddling my thumbs over the last 4 weeks, apart from having the week in Wales. I have been working on getting this back up and running, but I have found a bit more time to be with the missus, the dogs, 1 or 2 friends. I don't have many, but 1 or 2 friends. I've been able to spend a bit of time with people. So, I mean, look, I've never seen. No, it's been years since I've seen my eyes like this. My eyes are normally like this, when I talk to somebody. So, people are thinking, what a lying bastard he's been in California for the last month.
No, that's not true, Richie. I'll tell you what they've been thinking. They've been thinking now that you've come away from your luxury island just off the Bahamas in your private jet.
No, you won't.
How are you feeling? Yeah, it's great. Anyway, Richie, just a little bit of before we start talking a little bit, I was just thinking we need to be a bit careful because I'm on my final strike. So
you're on your final strike, you
yeah,
are.
Yeah. We through
Adios, Bayersky.
Yeah,
hasta luego, amigo.
Yeah, I call them their tube because it's not YouTube, it's their tube. And their tube says you better shut your mouth. So we're not talking about Maxine today or 4+1 or anything like that.
Fair enough.
We're just having a chat with you. And first of all, the first question I was thinking in my head is, how did we meet, Richie?
That's lousy. Hey, before I answer that, just to buy myself a bit of time to think about that, just to say, the show will be back on air in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It really will be. And it ain't going anywhere. And I can't wait to be doing it again, chatting with you in the afternoons and reading out your messages and interviewing interesting people. It's not going anywhere. It's coming back and it's going to be better, be more energy in it. It'll be a little bit different. It'll be the same length every day, but a little bit different in how it comes across. But just want to say that for people who've been with me a long time and are concerned that maybe the last few weeks has, I don't know, convinced me to jack it in, or that this was some sort of ruse, that I really wanted to jack it in anyway. That's nonsense. It'll be back sooner rather than later. And I can't wait. When did we first meet? You were recommended to me. I should have known you before I knew you because I lived around the corner from you in Spain. And I did a gig for Talk Radio Europe.
So did I. I was there.
I know you did as well. That's right. Yeah. That's right. And you being you, to your credit, you never pushed yourself. So when I took an evening show that had previously been presented by a Scottish dude, and I wanted to get into the alternative and stuff like that, you never pushed yourself forward, which is a great attribute of yours, but really you should have done, and we would have done some great shows, I think. But it was when I was in London the first time I heard of you. Right. I came up to Manchester to launch the Richie Allen Show, and a number of great people, including the amazing Patricia Braunschweiler, amongst others, wonderful, wonderful woman. But we're saying, you've got to get this guy on, Richie. This guy, Mark, you've got to speak to him. You've got to connect with him. Okay. And I think that's where it began. But if I'm wrong, correct me. But I'm pretty sure.
No, I couldn't remember. I was just trying to think. When did we? Somebody asked me to ask that question. So
well, she said to me at the time, and others, they said, we know that you're not too interested in healing and spirituality, but we think that you're decent enough to have a listen, even though it's not something that you're particularly knowledgeable about or interested in. And of course, that's the truth. The reason why I started speaking to people like you and others is because I didn't know anything about it. I wasn't particularly interested in it at the time, dear viewer, at the time. I'm hugely interested now and convinced, by the way, of its legitimacy. But back then I was, not for me. But the innate curiosity that's always been in me always takes over anyway. So it's all right. Well, go away. I'll speak to these people. I'll give them a listen, and well, the rest is history. Then I think that's where it began. And of course, I've seen with my own eyes in recent years. I've seen a man with incurable, I shouldn't say incurable, but untreatable eczema, horrendous, have it disappeared through natural healing. I don't know what I should refer it to as: spiritual healing, natural healing, energy healing, I probably should say. I've seen this stuff. Natural healing. And I didn't want to believe it. And then others. And then I've had my own experience. A mutual friend of ours has, helped me out recently with an injury that I've been struggling with for years, my right shoulder, and it's been hugely helpful. So that's where I am. So I think that's where it began for me and you. People said, listen, you big Luddite, pig-headed, baldy old bollocks, you've got to listen to, another point of view on the healing. So I think that's where it started. Yeah, thankfully.
And I've noticed that the more you've looked into it, the more you've been interested in getting new people. There's a snooker player that you get on who's also been who's a healer, right? A snooker.
That's right, Peter Ebdon, the world champion. Yeah, one of the nicest blokes you could ever meet in your life, Peter. What a lovely gentleman. I'm in touch with him quite regularly. He's hugely interested in you. He's listened to our conversations, and he's often texted me during the show saying, that's an interesting point Mark's made there. I agree with that. And then he sent me a link to something. He works with a lady called Jo Radley, and they work at the College of Healing, I think. I don't want to get it wrong now, which is based down south somewhere. Yeah, it's been hugely, you and them and others, hugely kind of eye-opening for me, and like it's been personally helpful. And not only me, but friends of mine who've not been well, and even family, extended family. I've said, look, have a look into this. And between you and me, there's a friend of mine going through the ringer at the moment. A very good friend of mine. I know who isn't, absolutely. But one of his family members is suffering very badly. And he's looking at the natural healing route now as a way to explore other possibilities, because the conventional medicines and the crazy painkillers and the opioids are just not doing any good. Yeah. So he's going to have a look, and I'm really glad that he is. And it's his thing, it's his decision. You always said to me, and Peter always said to me, it's got to be the person's decision. They can't be coerced into it. They've got to do it themselves. So yeah, it's been a huge thing for me.
That's brilliant, Richard. Lovely to hear. So, I mean, looking back on all these years that you've been working, you've actually brought so many people onto the show who are no longer in this world. You know, the Jodel Maxwell, Jim Mars. There's some great people that will live on forever that you introduced us to, which has been fantastic. I was just thinking to myself, if you had your last breath now and you looked at your life and your life appeared before you, what would you think about your life and what you've done in your life thus far? How would you feel? Would you feel, you know what, I did my best, mate. I did my best, and I did what I felt I could do for humanity, because basically that's what you've done without, like you always say, I'm not kissing your bummer up, but
no,
I'm being honest here. Like the amount of people that you've brought into the world of, I don't like the word awakening, but to see things differently through different perspective, it must be huge. And what is life about? What is it about? Well, we're here to create, we're here to help, we're here to share. Well, that's what you've done. You're a creator, you're a sharer, and you've helped so many people. So would you feel like if somebody said, look, Richard, you're about to go tomorrow, would you have had any regrets?
No regrets. I'll say this, and I don't have a modest bone in my body. I don't. I'm very straight, me, You any good at that, Richie? No. Are you any good at that? Not particularly. Are you any good at that? Yes, I'm very, very good.
Exactly.
That's me, right?
Yeah.
I've not done anything for anybody. I'm not modest. I don't deserve any of the credit or any of the praise that you've afforded me, or others. I deserve nothing. I'm curious, Mark. Listen, isn't it the job of the journalist to ensure that his or her listeners and viewers are getting every side of the story? That's all there is to journalism. Okay, journalism, finding some facts and presenting them to a reader or to a listener or to a viewer. Okay, find some facts, but also find the alternative point of view. So we have a set of facts there, right? Okay, we've got a woman or a bloke, he's supposed to have done this or she's supposed to have done that, but there's another point of view over there. What happened to me was back in after September the 11th, particularly, it occurred to me, and I'd spent some years in high-end commercial radio, producing commercial radio programs. It occurred to me that there was a lot of very credible people with knowledge, proven knowledge, people who had been peer-reviewed, and they were saying things about September the 11th. And I'm not going to go into September the 11th, don't panic, we've done it to death. But the point is, I was horrified at the realization that the media was not just ignoring those other experts who had a different take on the events, not just ignoring, which is bad enough, but actively working to suppress them.
Mhm.
And I couldn't tolerate that. I can't and I won't ever tolerate it. It's your job as a journalist to give your listener, who trusts you implicitly, every side of the story. Yes, you might give your own opinion, as I do in my monologues, but in the interviews, shut up, hear their side of the story, ask a couple of challenging questions, and let your listener decide. That's all I've done really over the last 8 years with the Richie Allen Show, is
What?
tried to do my best to make sure that people are heard, like especially during COVID, right? We knew there were academics, we knew there were doctors, we knew there were scientists who flagrantly disagreed with the establishment voices on COVID. And all I did, and I deserve no credit for it because it's just your job. All I did was said to those people, listen, will you come on with me for 25 minutes and tell me why Chris Whitty and Patrick Vallance are wrong? That's basic stuff. And I'm not being modest. I'm not fishing for compliments. I deserve F all for that, other than, well, it's what you should be doing, Baldy. Because it's what I should be doing. It's what they all should be doing. So if I was to go tomorrow, I'd have no regrets about anything. I would hope that my missus and our dogs would carry on and would go on to live,
I've got a
get on
question.
with life without me.
I've got
But
another
I
question.
wouldn't have any regrets.
On that note, on regrets, we can all clearly see El Frogo Tremendo in the background.
She's in the background, is she? Cleaning up.
Yeah, she's cooking. She's cooking
if she's
the dinner.
listening, she might bring me a glass of wine. It's
Yeah,
5:15. It's wine o'clock here.
Or two.
Glass of wine, yeah.
So, on that note, if you were about to leave, would you have wished you would have made that Frogo Tremendo a wedding ring and a good husband?
No.
You keep promising. Right.
It's just a standing joke. We got engaged in 2008.
So you're not going to get married then? You are going to get married.
I wouldn't imagine anytime soon, really. I mean,
why?
Well, do you need?
No, just asking.
No, yeah, and I'm trying to formulate my answer without coming off like a large type asshole, but maybe I've already failed that.
Some women don't want to get married.
No, but do you need the consent of the state or local government? Do you need? Look at that.
Where is she? Come on, we've got to say hello to our beautiful.
It's bad for my reputation, apparently. Says thank you very much.
What reputation? We don't have a reputation, Richard.
By the way, you might be interested to know, and Caroline could make a lawyer out of me. I have, and you can see it in my face anyway, drastically over the last 6 weeks, drastically reduced my own alcohol intake. Yeah. I mean, I had done anyway. I've never been a daytime drinker. I've always been an after-show drinker.
Yeah.
After the show, you wind down, you have a couple of wines or sadly maybe a couple of Bacardis. But no, I've completely reduced it, and that's good too. It feels good. Yeah.
Everybody.
He says that he's about to tuck into a large Chardonnay.
Yeah. Everybody finds their own way to relax. And I remember going to only went once to a psychologist, only once down the road here. And he said to me, look, some people go to the gym and beat the crap out of one of them punch bags. Some people exercise, some people run, and some people go to the pub and mix with friends, and some people just like to have a drink. And I get it completely. Whichever way reduces the stress for sure is important, because building up the stress isn't a good thing. It can cause
You're right.
It can cause lack of sleep, and everything else can tumble down. So I have no issues with any of that.
I'll tell you what alcohol does to me, and thanks for saying that. Balance. It does me no good because it accelerates my heart rate. Now, you'll say, well, alcohol accelerates everybody's heart rate. Well, it really accelerates mine. So that's not good. So I've got to be careful with that. And my biggest issue, my biggest problem with alcohol is that I'm a great drunk. I'm not drunk very often, but I'm a great drunk. I'm a happy guy who just laughs. Never do I get fed up or melancholic or anything like that. I laugh and then I fall asleep and I become a nuisance then trying to get me up the stairs. That's how I am with it. But
6 foot.
No, I agree with you. Everything in moderation. I know. 14 stone. Trying to get a big lump like me up the stairs. But no, you make some great points there, and you made some great points about what it is that we're doing and what the Richie Allen Show has done. And I know you want to talk about it. This is your show. How dare I? But
No, please. I love it.
this autumn, this autumn is going to be a very. We kind of speculated late last year, early this year, that this autumn is going to be very challenging on a lot of levels for a lot of people. You'll know that they announced they removed the energy cap and raised the ceiling, the threshold, the prices that energy companies can charge for a unit of electricity, or I don't know if they call it a unit of natural gas. Some very, very tough times ahead for people. And I don't know if you wanted to get into some of that, where this agenda that we talk about, we've spent so many years talking about where it's going to move next. Those are the things we'll be focusing on in the show, from when the show comes back onwards. Hopefully not in a morbid or morose way, but in as light-hearted a way as possible, giving information to people and maybe some solutions, please God, because this is another thing. It's so difficult. People say, if I get one criticism a lot, it's, where are the solutions? You come on and you tell us, well, this is what the government says, this is what might be happening, but where are the solutions?
Yeah, but who's to say, Richie, that the solution should be, now that you've got all the information, what about you? Why are you pushing it onto somebody else? You're blaming somebody else. They should do it. You fix it. You do that. You bloody do it. You do it. Now you've got all this information. What are you going to do about it? Isn't that the point? But no, people like to blame everybody else. People like to point the finger. You should do this for us. You should do that, while they sit there and do nothing. So I don't buy into that anymore. I did do when I was younger, but I don't buy in that. I don't buy into it anymore. Okay, you have guests on your show with solution after solution, but it goes straight over most people's head because they want to know. They want to know if they get chips tonight on the plate. That's the important thing, Am I getting chips? Love, are you putting chips on the plate tonight? Sorry, Richard, just stop there. I just want chips. Good. Now carry on, Richard. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and for me, the solution has always been obvious, but it's as obvious as it is, as simple as it is, for me anyway, and this is just my opinion, I shouldn't be forcing this on anybody, I never do force it on anybody, but for me the solution is very simple, and that is communities, people living in neighbourhoods and communities coming together to collectively disobey. It's as simple as that. It's how it has been throughout history. It's that easy.
You don't even know your next door neighbor.
This is the issue, and this is why when you offer this solution, as I occasionally do, or when a guest offers it and says, right, people poo it.
Yeah.
You say, no. I'm saying, well, what else is there? Yeah. You can go on Twitter with your anonymous account and you can brag about violence. You can brag about, we'll bring it to the doors of Downing Street and all, but you're not really going to do that. You're just tough talking after you've had a few glasses of wine, and even if you were serious, they'll shoot you dead in the street.
Yeah,
they have the biggest guns, the tanks they've got. The only thing that will stop it is turning your back. I use this analogy all the time. It's a very poor analogy, but it's the only one I can think of. A film that scared me to death when I was a child. Shouldn't have watched it. The very first Freddy Krueger film, the Nightmare on Elm Street film.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful film, Wes Craven. It's an amazing film, and at the end of it,
I met the guy.
You met Freddy, did you?
Yeah,
Robert Englund. Did you?
Yeah,
wow, how interesting.
I met him. He's a nice guy. Really, actually, a lovely guy. Yeah.
The first time we saw him was in a television series about aliens, wasn't it? Called V.
Yeah, V. Yeah.
He played one of the nicer aliens.
It was great.
But the point about that film is they're being terrorized in their dreams, and there is a parallel with what's going on today. The fear, the artificiality of the fear. It's real, but it's also artificial. And Nancy Thompson, the hero, the heroine, at the end of the film, it dawns on her that the only reason this guy can terrorize them is because they're giving him the power to do so, because they are believing in his ability and in his capability to come into their dreams and murder them and their families. And she says to him, I think in the film she gets a book by Johnny Depp's character who talks about learning to understand realities and dreams and stuff. And in the end she says to him, you're nothing. I cannot believe that I wasted so much time. She says in so many words, being terrified of you, you're nothing. And she
The,
effectively kills him, but of course
the
they bring him
illusion,
back.
the
Yeah,
illusion
the illusion.
disappears.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so true. There's quite a lot of
yeah,
films actually based on that, and one of them's
yeah.
called with David Bowie, and it's what I always used to watch as a kid as well. I watched the same film that you did, but it was called Labyrinth.
Labyrinth. Yeah, yeah.
And
Terrific movie. Yeah,
if you watch that movie, you'll realize there's so many spiritual understandings in that film. And the last thing the girl said is, "You have no power over me," and then it all ends. And there's something in that, and it's the same with witchcraft and voodoo.
yeah,
If you believe in it, then if somebody says you're going to die in a white coat or a voodoo coat, a black voodoo coat, then if you believe it, you're going to die. And I know many people who suffered very badly because they believed in a curse and what they were told. But it's just the same thing. And we're being cursed every day, Richard. Every day there's a new curse, and it's called breaking news. There's your new curse. There's your new Freddy Krueger film. So it's there every day. But I totally agree with you. Totally agree. The only way we can stop it is by coming together with community. But the problem with community is everybody hates each other.
yeah. Hate might be a strong word. Listen, I'm not saying you're wrong because I don't know if
Hmm.
you are wrong. I think even worse than hate, because at least hate, as bad as it is, it's a very powerful emotion. Even worse than hate is indifference. I just see indifference. I live in a mostly white working class community in Salford. I'm in Salford. I'm not a million miles away from the Royal Hospital and not too far away from Media City. And I grew up in a very similar place. I grew up in Ballybeg in Waterford City, which is a fantastic community, Ballybeg, full of very young families in the late 1970s, early 1980s, full of very young families whose dads and mums worked at Waterford Crystal, or they worked for a company on the nearby industrial estate. And I can remember growing up in Ballybeg, which was very similar to where I am now in Salford. Very, very similar. Working people, rough and ready like me, right? Always one or two dodgy families. Always Ballybeg had them. You know, crime families. Like we've one or two here, but the vast majority, genuine salt of the earth. But I can see the distinction every day between my experience of growing up in Ballybeg and Waterford, which I love. I often think of it, and a smile comes over my face, and El Frago will say, "What are you smiling for?" Staring off into the distance, because I'm thinking about this place I grew up in, where everybody knew everybody's name, where nobody locked their front door. This is not bullshit now, excuse me swearing. This is not false memory. This was a fact. You went to your neighbors to call out to play your
Yeah,
mate, same age as you.
you'd open the door. You could open the door and
Little
walk.
little rap, and then you pushed and you opened the door. People trusted one another. Kids were often piled in on, they'd go somewhere for a Saturday or a Sunday, and then you'd have you'd have one family minding 6 or 7 groups of children. Everybody looked out for everybody. And I remember, Mark, and there's a reason to this long-winded story, this winding story, this
No, it's
rambling
not. That's
story.
great. Keep going.
Back in the 1980s, the government decided they were going to bring water rate charges in. And people in Ballybeg didn't have the money to pay for water. They were being taxed enough as it was anyway. Not my family, not anybody else's family. This wasn't going to happen. We couldn't afford it. How dare they charge for water? They paid income taxes. They paid national insurance contributions, PRSI. They paid that in Ireland. They paid tax on every sandwich they bought in a shop, every beer, every packet of cigarettes.
Yeah.
We're not having this. And what happened was people didn't pay it, and the government or the local government started sending around hired thugs to go into the street to pull up the manhole covers and to turn the water off. The people of Ballybeg said, the men, the women, the grannies and the granddads, they said, we'll see about that. And in a very famous incident which made the national and the international news, thousands of neighbours surrounded some of these men who'd been turning the water off, falsely imprisoned them in a van and wouldn't let them out for 3 days. They had to do their business in all that sort of stuff in the van. They left them out.
Where's that gone?
Where's it gone? They left them out in the end. They weren't punched. They weren't grabbed. They weren't threatened. They crawled out of that housing estate Nobody came back in there again to turn off the water.
Right.
And that's a true story, Mark. And
Yeah.
I look around now in Salford. I've got Stuart and Kate over there. Lovely people, next door neighbours. I've got Keely and Brian over there. I don't know anybody else around here.
Exactly.
Don't know who they are. Don't know their children's names. I'm just as guilty as them now. I'm not blaming them. The rest of them.
No,
It's up to me to make that contact to knock on the door, you know?
There is something in with us being the way we are, we see things, and when we start seeing things, I think when we start becoming more aware of things, there is a type of slippery slope. Because I remember when they were talking about, do you remember when we all came out on the streets and we all waved the flags to the Queen? Well, I don't want to wave the flag to the Queen because we know what the Queen's like. But so then how do we actually come together and come out on the street and have a party just because?
$1 million question. That's it. How? So how do you get from what we just described, where you might know your immediate next door neighbours, but you don't know anybody else and you don't really care? So how you're better equipped than I am to answer this, because you're a genuine people's person. You love people. You love. I'm not saying I don't now. I'm not saying I don't, but I've become a bit more standoffish and indifferent myself as time has gone on. That being said, if anybody was to ever ask me for, for a bit of help, or
I know,
100%. But you're the guy. How do you change it, Mark? How do you get hundreds and hundreds of people? Because I really believe it's the only solution to come together and to say collectively, no, we're not going on with it. Your lies about Ukraine and the energy prices and the food prices and the climate change, we're not putting up with it anymore. We don't comply. What are the steps needed to be taken to get to that point where you get the numbers? I don't know.
No, it's a really interesting question, and I've been getting to know a few people, which, like you, I've become more closed than I've ever been in life because of what's been going on, and because there's a lot of people out there that, you know what, I came to this village, Richie, with open arms, and I had a big smile on my face. First time I got to this village, and I walked around the village for 6 months getting to know every single person of this village, and then I spent the next 10 years trying to get rid of them. What I'm trying to say is that some people, and you want to share your love, but then you realize that not everybody's like you. Not everybody's the same. They have different intentions. They don't have the same thoughts and feelings you do. But I met these guys online, and I think one of them's online now. But basically what it is, it's a group of younger lads. They're like rappers. The modern day rappers. And they have a site called Rise Above. And they're great lads. They're the younger generation with common sense, and they can feel in their heart what's going on. And what they did was they realized, and they're sharp, they realized that the only way we can make a difference is by community. So they created a Rise Above weekend, and they've invited loads of speakers and healers, and they're trying to create something that way. And I thought that is the way to do it. It is the way to do it. But part of the problem for me is if I was to do that here, it can cause a lot of issues, because you've got to think about insurance, right? If somebody falls and hurts themselves, and
I know Spain. I remember.
You know what I mean? Everything can be very difficult. But when it anyway, that's by the by. It's just one of those things. And let's move on anyway. Because
do you want me to pull down a blind or something? Because I don't mind the sun on my face, but it looks a bit weird.
No, it does. It's fine.
You sure I could pull a blind down? I think.
Yeah.
I'm in the conservatory.
Question: If you were sat with your son, right? You had a son, and he sat there, right? And you're sat with him, and all of a sudden he switches a radio station on. It's called the Richie Allen Radio Show, and he's listening to it. What would you say to your son listening to the Richie Allen Radio Show? What would you say to him when he was listening to it?
That language is absolutely appalling and unacceptable, and you can make your point without using such profanities.
I wouldn't listen otherwise.
It's greatly exaggerated anyway, my use of language. It's greatly exaggerated. It's an occasional thing in the monologues, but
We
then I
wait
do the
for it.
interviews.
We all wait for it. When's
I
Richie
think,
gonna rant?
listen, I'm going to sound like a politician. I'm going to sound fake, but I swear I've never been fake in my life. I'd say to a child of mine, if I was blessed with a child or ours, listen to everything, but don't buy into it. Some of it might make some sense to you. Some of it you might not believe. And don't be slow to fact check. So that guy sounded funny there for a minute and he made you laugh, or he said something that was a bit outrageous, but don't take it as fact. Like you can fact check, you can find out for yourself. But I would just say to anybody listening to the Richie Allen show, isn't it and I mean this, I always mean it, isn't it a horrible, rotten, stinking shame that we have to do what we do, that journalists can't do the honourable, the decent, and the humane thing, the loyal thing, the right thing, and that is to ask questions and not just be propagandists for this agenda that we see. It's an absolute shame. I'd love nothing more than there not to be any need for any such shows. I'd love to be doing shows like the Melody Show.
Exactly.
You know, where we could have a laugh. We could still have a chat about what's going on locally and stuff. But the fact that we need shows like this. So that's all I would say to anybody listening to it is give it a chance. Don't buy into it. Do not believe somebody just because you like them. This has been a big problem in the independent media over the years. Personalities and the cult of personality. People taking at face value what somebody has said because they like them and because they identify with them or because they generally say what it is they want to hear. Don't do that. Listen to it and say, right, okay, that's interesting, but I've got a mind of my own. I look upon my listeners as intelligent people with minds of their own. I don't feel it's my place to tell them what's right and what's wrong or what to think or what not to think.
That's true. That's true to a degree, Richie. But then part of you still stands up for what you know is real and truth, and what's skullduggery. You have pointed out, and you've had people on your show, and you've invited them back on to stand up for what they've said, and they've absolutely. Yeah, I always think to myself, you don't really need to say about somebody what they're bad or good, because they dig their own grave in the end, don't they?
Yeah,
in the end, they always dig their own grave for who they are.
Yeah.
But you've had people on your show that I remember a couple of times you had to stand strong and people had a go at you. And then eventually people realized that person, ended up being pretty sad. It was actually quite awful what happened.
We won't mention any names.
No,
but
it was sad.
People never do come back and say, "Hey, Richie, I got that wrong." I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me at all. I remember one particular guy who had a knack for putting together projects and asking people for money, and then running away with the money and lying about it. I remember being part of exposing that, just a little part, and people losing their minds about it, and then eventually realizing, oh God, this guy is, a dreadful character and is a con man. But they certainly do not come back and say, Richie, I gave you a lot of stick there.
Some do. Some do, Richie. Some do.
Too many, to be honest. But look, to do what, if you're going to make content, and you're going to put it out there, and if you're going to gather listeners or viewers, and eventually quite a lot of listeners, you've got to have a thick skin. Like, you really do. It's no good. Life is not worth living without having a thick skin. And I realized, you see, very early on when I started in radio, that the only opinions that should matter to me were the opinion of my boss, because he had the power of hiring or firing me. Right? So if he said I was any good, fair enough. If he said I was dire, and he did many times, he was to be listened to. And then your close friends and family, because you love your close friends and family, they will never do you wrong. So if your close friends and family tell you you've not been doing well, I remember Caroline at one stage saying to me, "You're not sounding great lately, you're not doing well, a bit angry, it's not great." You take it on board. She loves you. She's going to tell you what she thinks. But anybody else, and some listeners don't like hearing this because they think I should care about what it is they think about the content. I'm not saying I don't, but if they tell me it's crap, I don't get wound up. I just move on to the next email. Just have a thick skin. It's very important. That being said, when things were going a bit belly up with the studio rebuild, it did, for the first time in years, it did get on me a little bit that some people were really losing their rag about it. But I think it got me down a little bit only because I was knackered and I couldn't see. You know when you're really knackered and you can't see the woods for the trees. You're like, this is going nowhere. This and they think I'm having a jolly up. And I'm up to me neck in wires with Paul Ripley and phoning people and begging BBC people to come and try and sort out these issues. And people are saying you're a big fake. And look, 99 times out of 100, 199,000 times out of a million, I just go, fake off. But that particular last week in July, I was like,
yeah,
Christ, they don't really think that I'm having a jolly up, do they? Where am I having this jolly up?
The thing is, Richie, it doesn't matter. The content you put out there, you're always going to get certain people who are going through the transition, and they get so deep into it that they end up not believing anything or anybody, and that to me is the most dangerous. It's dangerous, mate, because you lose your friends and your family, you lose everybody, and you lose yourself. You really do.
And that's a brilliant, what you've just said there is brilliant. I couldn't have said that any better. And you know, with radio, if you do a radio show a long time, now, you know this because most, if not every morning of the week, you go on and live stream and you share a bit of information, or you share a message, an uplifting message, a positive message. You are a bit like Ken Bruce on BBC Radio 2 or somebody like that. People expect to be able to go on YouTube, right. I've done this, I've done that. I've got 20 minutes to myself now. Mark's going to be on YouTube. Yeah. You're a friend. You're a friend and you're a confidant. You don't see yourself as that, but that's what you are. And it's the same with radio. The radio show has been on for 8 years. It's been on most of the time, usually 250, 260 shows a year. It's about 1,700 shows in the 8 years. So people expect it. It's a constant in their lives. And I totally get that. I grew up listening to Jerry Ryan on RTE Radio 2, the greatest radio presenter that ever lived. Ever, in my opinion. It's all opinions. Yeah. Some people will tell you Jerry was terrible. That's the way it goes. Some people will tell you Mark Boyerski's terrible on YouTube. Yeah, but many more people will say, brilliant, love that. I love it. I don't see it every weekday morning, but I see it several times a week when I'm going about my business. So they expect you to be there. And then all of a sudden you're not there.
They can
and it goes on and on and
angry.
on.
They can get angry.
Get annoyed with you.
People can get very angry.
But I'm not doing it deliberately.
But that anger, to me, when you get older, you realize that that's actually quite beautiful, because their passion is coming out because they're not getting something that they're used to getting, and it's like, you know, taking something off them now. So really, it's actually it's a good thing. Even though it sometimes can hurt, it's actually saying a lot about your show, Richard, because
Radio, Mark, is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You and I spoke about this when you came to Manchester that time when we had that lovely dinner in Mr. Hardy's Chop House in Manchester. What a dinner that was. We were going to see David Icke at the Apollo the following day. Yeah. And a few of us had a bit of dinner in the Chop House. And you mentioned to me how fascinated you were by the intimacy of radio. Yeah. Because you're a radio listener, you're a radio enthusiast, you've been on a million radio shows yourself. You know, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's a one-to-one medium. I listen to it now, and thankfully there are still some presenters who present sports podcasts, and I love listening to them. Yeah. And I'm running down Regent Road into Manchester, and I feel like they're talking to me. Brilliant. And that's radio. And if I'm any good at my job sometimes, my listeners should think Richie is talking to me. And if they do, well, of course, they're pissed off when the show is off air. But I say, look, I like Netflix shows or Amazon Prime shows. And you get 13 episodes, and then they piss off for 12 months. And you have to wait for a year for it to come back for the next season. Yeah. With the Richie Allen show, you've only got to wait another couple of weeks. All told, it'll be about 6-7 weeks max if you add it up from August. And then it'll be on for as long as we can do it. So that's the last word on the radio show. Look,
at the end of the day, it actually, it actually does everybody good, because they can go out there and hunt around for something else and see and measure to see how your show is compared to other shows. And I think it's good. I always say to people, you know what, leave where you live and go and live somewhere else for a year, and you'll see the difference in your life.
Terrific shows out there.
There is some good shows out there.
Is awash with independent content creators who do excellent stuff. I know I don't get to listen to enough of it because I'm too busy with my own job. But I could mention a few now. I could mention The Last American Vagabond. I could mention him. I could mention Spiro. Obviously, go on and get on with Mark every weekday morning. Check out what's going on the Mark Boyarski YouTube channel. There's brilliant stuff out there. Really well put together stuff. Ethical stuff. So there's no shortage of it. Like, I do. And, you know,
you're right.
I'll be back before too long.
I didn't mention there's a brilliant podcast at the moment going out, and I'm hoping you get to go on that show. Because Dominic and Chris, these two guys, they're called Sheep Farm. Again, they do deep dives, but they do it with fun and laughter, because they're Yorkshire, they take the piss kind of thing, you know. So it's a bit of a joke, and I can't wait till because your sense of humor when you're with what's his name, what's he called? You two get together, you're like dreadful of laughing and having fun. What you call Hayden? You and Hayden, you two are brilliant. You just like that kind of energy. Yeah, I love Hayden. He's great. He's a great guy, and he's had some stick in his time, but he's thick-skinned as well. He's like, you like it, you don't.
Isn't he? I saw you one time brilliantly using Hayden as an example. For people who don't know Hayden, just very briefly, he was behind liveleak.com for many years. They disbanded the website. Hayden Hewitt is kind of where all of us kind of should aspire to be.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have any interest in anything that's discussed on the Richie Allen Show. That's a lie. He's interested in some of the subjects, but he doesn't believe in some of the agendas that we believe in. He doesn't believe that they are as cynical or sinister. That's his prerogative. That's his absolute right. He's a very intelligent guy. He makes his own mind up. He doesn't have a lot of time for energy healing and stuff like that. Hayden's one of these guys. If he can see it and if he can touch it, it's real.
For sure.
Right? But here's the thing. Hayden Hewitt will use his last breath to fight to make sure that people like Mark Boyarski and me have a platform online to say what it is we want to say. That cannot be overstated. I've said this 1,000 times. He is astonishingly amazing when it comes to free speech and freedom of expression. And you know, he's on a list, a tiny list of people, present company included on that list, that there wouldn't be any show without him. Can you imagine that? A guy who doesn't really care for false flag talk or healing talk, that doesn't really care for it kind of a thing, but he goes miles out of his way to make sure that it gets on air. I love that man. I love him.
Yeah. We can see that, and and the same goes to you as well, Richard, because you guys disagree, but you love to agree to disagree, and you're still best friends. How many people in this world now disagree and run away or block or don't want to know, not interested? It's become a throwaway, a takeaway society now. It's just changed. People have changed. Everything is takeaway. You know, everything is takeaway now. It's like nobody wants to look at anything. Just give me 30 seconds, 20 seconds, TikTok, and that'll do me okay for the next 20 seconds. Then I need another TikTok. It's all addiction now. Nobody I like shows like yours because they're not that you give people a chance to talk. And that's what I listen to. I listen to shows that give the person being interviewed a good chance to say what he wants to say. And that's powerful. And when you get people on like that, they're genuine. If people want to come at most people, like this is the ironic thing, right? The ironic thing, right, I've noticed with your show is that nobody will come on your show to stand up for the system agenda. Nobody. But yet they won't allow you on their show to stand up for their
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Even the using, come on.
The last one was the last one who came on, to her credit, was former Health Minister Edwina Curry. She was the last one to come
I
on.
remember that. That was years ago. How long ago was that?
Not that long ago. No,
How long ago?
that was halfway through the
The
COVID
pandemic.
nonsense.
Yeah.
And
Feels like years, Richie.
I just pointed out to her that there were some scientists and people who thought masks were maybe doing more harm to people than good and stuff. And she got frustrated and she hung up on me.
Yeah, I remember.
Not because she's a coward or anything, far from it. She's not a coward, but so invested in the nonsense was she that she couldn't, comprehend why anybody would be arguing. But to go back to your point, which is a great point, you see, you and I are children of the 60s and 70s. It's when we were born, the early 70s. Look, I certainly wasn't perfect as a child. I certainly could be offended as a child.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anybody to think that I had a very thick skin when I was a child. I didn't, but we learned or were taught to accept criticism of our ideas or our opinions. We were taught to accept that. There's a generation or two coming behind us, and I hate to bash younger people. I hate to do that, and I don't blame them. You've given the reason already, or you've given part of the reason. It's the social media generation. It's the echo chamber thing, where they only see and read that which they believe and hold dear. They are very rarely confronted by anything or by anyone who disagrees with them. You and I have had it for years. That's why you never cared when Hayden or anybody else is like, I like you, Mark, but I don't have any interest in this energy healing. That doesn't offend you.
No.
That doesn't emasculate you. You don't become less, oh, he's attacked me. No, you don't, because you're a mature man. You say, oh, he's not into it, fair enough. He'll maybe in the future, maybe he might look at it again. That's us. But there are other generations, and I don't blame them, because they've been attacked. They've been absolutely targeted.
Yeah.
And they're not able to cope with an alternative point of view or the idea that they might be wrong. I don't know about you, and I'm not just saying this now to score points with your viewers, but I enjoy when I find out that I'm wrong. I'm like, phew, all right, so I got that wrong then. And I can't wait to get to a microphone. Hey, listen, do you remember I told you something yesterday? Well, it turns out it was nonsense. Forgive me, blah, blah, blah. But that's just us. It doesn't mean I was perfect. Certainly wasn't growing up. But we're just a bit more robust, our generation. But again, we didn't have the pressures that they have now. I believe they have it worse. For years, our uncles, great uncles, great aunts, grandmothers would have said, oh, our generation, we had to walk 5 miles to school.
Exactly, with no shoes.
With no shoes. But I really do think, my time growing up, I think we had it largely great. And I think teenagers now, 20-somethings, I wouldn't be in their shoes. They're being assaulted, attacked, 5 cents assault.
Yeah.
Not even 5 cents, beyond the 5 cents, constantly barraged and bombarded with negativity and brainwashing. So I forgive them when they collapse in a heap, when you don't believe that somebody born with a penis is really a woman.
Yeah.
I forgive them for melting down.
But not just that, I had somebody working for me at one of my shops, and I just said to her, look, very, very kindly and gently, I said, look, if you worked down the road at Dunn's store, would you bring your friends round to do your homework while you were working on the cash register? So all hell broke loose. She ran home screaming. She told her mum. Her mum came back and attacked me. And it was like, I realized then that we're in trouble. We're in trouble.
Yeah.
We're in real trouble. And that's another reason why there's a separation, but it's all planned. It was like somebody sat down, because this can't be all coincidence. Everything that's happening to separate humanity by gender, by anything, what color? I don't like that color. It's like, what? We don't like each other because we don't like this. We don't have the same thing in common, or it's gone.
Yeah,
it's
identity
gone,
politics. Yeah,
it's going to get worse. You can feel it's getting worse. So the question is, after after all those amazing people that you've had on your show, Richie, all that information that you've digested and listened to, in your humble opinion, what do you think is going to happen in these coming years? What do you think after all that you've learned and understood? Do you think that the agenda will continue, because the agenda is something that can never be stopped unless what you just said?
Let me stop it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Look, I think there's going to be some difficult times ahead. I think they're pushing the climate lie pretty hard now, and I look. I did learn over the years, and I learned some lessons from some very good people. I did learn that it's good to preface your remarks with "it can be argued," and I do that a lot, but I'm not going to do it today.
It's good. I like it.
Yeah, you know, to keep everybody in the room, basically. Listen, it could be argued. I remember bashing a guy in Spain years ago about September the 11th, bashing him over the head with fact after fact. And I was probably doing that thing. I'd be the first to admit I was that guy.
Yeah.
Being domineering. And the guy stopped me and he said, Richie, some of that might be true. He said, some of it might be a load of old cobblers.
Yeah.
He said, why don't you start to think along the lines of it could be argued? There's an argument to be made rather than telling people this is the way it is.
Yeah.
And I learned a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it could be argued. The climate lie is the greatest lie, I believe, that's ever been inflicted on humanity. This idea that CO2 is dangerously changing the climate of the planet and is warming the planet by an average, or will by an average of 1.5 or 2 degrees over the next few years. And that will be catastrophic for humanity. It's an absolute lie. And I'm not going to get into the wheres and the why-fors, the reasons, the wheres of it now, the wherefores of it. I won't, because I've done it to death on the radio show, but it is a whopper of a lie. It's so easily disproven. The problem is the generations we spoke of behind us, they believe it. They believe every word of it. Maybe not all of them, but most of them believe it. They've been terrorized into believing that the apocalypse is nigh, and that Mum and Dad and Uncle Barney and Auntie May, it's their fault. Those feckers with their big cars and their holidays and eating whatever they want and all of this. This is going to be big in the next 6 to 8 months, 12 months. I talked about climate lockdowns on the radio show during the first COVID lockdown. And I've never had an epiphany. I've never had a light bulb in my life, but I think I did that day. I was like, Jesus, you can see how they'd transfer locking people down to protect the NHS to asking people to restrict what it is they do to protect the planet. And that's coming next. Big time, that's coming. We're already hearing about it. Look, to answer your question in a short way, because I shouldn't go on and on and on and on.
No, it's great. Love it.
We're not. I think ultimately, and I'm not saying this because it's the right thing to say on Mark Boyarski's YouTube channel. I'm saying it because I believe it in my heart. Eventually, good will triumph over evil. But I think for the next few years, it's going to be tough, I think. And I hate to say that, because people might, what do you mean by the next few years? Look, I'm telling you, if utility bills go to £500 a month, Mark, it's not just the listeners to the Richie Allen show that are going to be screwed. I'm screwed. We can't afford that.
Yeah.
We're fucked if it goes to that.
No, I know.
How the hell can we afford that? We just can't. There's no way of finding that money.
Yeah.
There isn't. And that's just one facet of it. The energy crisis, which is, of course, completely manufactured by this manufactured crisis in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Nobody's asking the question on the news. You've got the Rishi Sunak, the former chancellor. You've got Liz Truss. One of them will be announced as the new prime minister next Monday. It'll be Truss, according to all of the polls. And they're being asked about what will they do to relieve the pressure on people. What will they borrow? What relief? Will they give £500 to every family? All this crap.
Bullshit. Nobody
is asking the question. Nobody.
Yeah.
Why don't they get on a plane? Because I think, this is what they would have done 100 years ago, 150 years ago. To Moscow, to meet with the Russian president, who I believe ultimately is in on it anyway. I get hammered for this, but I don't believe there's a world leader who's not in on it.
100%.
Right?
In my
But just to
opinion,
finish,
too.
let's just pretend that he isn't, just for the sake of
Yeah,
my
okay
nonsense
then.
story.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you then, in the face of the biggest food crisis in human, since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, why wouldn't you get on a plane, go to Moscow, pick up Vladimir Putin, bring him to Ankara, bring him to Turkey, Istanbul, bring him to Istanbul. What am I saying? Pick up Zelensky, if any of this was really real.
Yeah.
Bring Zelensky together in Istanbul and say, listen, we can't have this. You, comedian, he's going to have Luhansk and Donetsk. He's going to have it. We're going to stop threatening him. We're going to stop building bases around Russia. He's going to have that eastern part of Ukraine that he needs. You're going to shut the fuck up about it. And you, Putin, you're going to release, you're going to start the gas taps flowing again into Europe, and we're all going to live happily ever after. Now, nobody in the media is asking, why is that not happening? Nobody.
No, because do you remember back in our days when we used to watch Saturday morning wrestling?
Oh, God, yeah.
That's what this is.
Les Kellett.
Yeah, exactly. Giant haystacks, big dagger. Everything that we're watching now is exactly that.
An illusion, yeah.
It's all a stage show.
Nonsense,
everything.
Every bit of it.
Yeah.
100%, Mark, and that's why you're leading journalists, whether it be former BBC Emily Maitlis, whether it be Fiona Bruce, whether it be Hugh Edwards, whether it be that goon Robert Peston on ITV, none of them are asking, listen, why don't you just settle this business with Putin? This can't go on. He's got to have a deep water port. He's got to have access. Stop it now. Russia's no serious threat to Western security. We all know this. Sign a deal with them, turn the gas taps back on, and let's stop this, because otherwise people are going to starve to death in the UK. Old people are going to freeze to death because they won't turn the radiators on. The reason why these conversations won't happen is because everything that we are seeing is meant to happen. In my opinion, it could be argued it's part of the Great Reset agenda. Impoverish people, terrorize them, strip them of their dignity, make them live in fear constantly, 24/7 with the news, to the point where they will accept any solution you offer them.
Anything.
That's
give me anything. Somebody asked me, explain, Mark, this was 2 days ago, explain what you mean about what's going on in the world. And I put it in a nutshell, Richie, and that's this. Imagine you have 8 billion people all putting in their money into a big pot, right? Now, when all that money's in that pot, you've got a group of people who come along who say, we need to get this money out of this pot. But how do we do it so that all those people who are putting that money in their pot will accept us taking that money out? And that is as simple as that. That's what's happening now. Everything that they're doing is to just get the money out of the pot. So, okay, guys, we need to now put this price. I mean, why has energy gone up? Has anybody asked that question? Why has it gone up? Why did it go up yesterday? And it's like, it's to strangle humanity. Once humanity is strangled, then you can do basically what you want with them. So you will do this or else. And
you're 100% right. We are going to see the greatest transfer of real wealth. Now, when I say real wealth, I should say real material wealth, because real wealth is your family, your sons, your daughters, your friends. That's real wealth. That's incalculable. That's, you couldn't put a price on it. But material wealth, real material wealth, is land. It's property. It's bricks, mortar. It's land. It's water. It's lakes. It's rivers. It's forests. What you're going to see, and it's happening now, is the greatest transfer of wealth, material wealth, there's ever been in my lifetime. It'll dwarf what went on after the fake economic crash of 2008. We're seeing it now. And that's how that Great Reset agenda proceeds, is to asset strip the planet. Asset strip Joe and Josephine Smith. Take everything they have off them. And I must say this, And we don't do fear. I don't do fear. But if I didn't say this, I couldn't live with myself for not saying it. To your friends and hundreds of thousands of people you have subscribed to this channel, money in the bank. Watch out for bail-ins. I have a feeling, and I don't do fear. I don't do fear. I don't tell people stuff to get a reaction out of them. I don't do it. I hate it.
I know.
But I have a feeling that coming sometime in the next 12 months is an unannounced bail-in. I say this because 2 years ago, the economics editor of Sky News, who also writes for The Times, a guy called Ed Conway, this guy suggested that the government could pay for COVID by doing an unannounced bail-in, by basically robbing people's bank accounts.
Bank, yeah, exactly.
Overnight, like he said, they could do it overnight very quickly, take 5% off of everybody,
or 15, or 20.
Or 15. That's right, and then give it to central banks, whatever. And I don't want, because we've had a lovely chat today, it's been very positive. I don't want, to be coming to the end of it or with anything negative like that. But I think people should be aware of it. It's what a friend of mine says, if we were the bad guys, we'd be better at it than they are. But I think they're pretty sharp at it at the moment. And I think a bail-in is not out of the question in the foreseeable future. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope in a year's time we'll say, geez, you got that wrong, Richie. I'll be the first to say, hey, listen, got it wrong.
Yeah. To be honest, most people don't have that kind of money to even worry about it.
No, that's true. I certainly, I don't, your is none of my business, but I certainly don't. I certainly don't. So.
No. It's great.
There's not nothing. There's not nothing in my bank account. There's not nothing in there. It's not empty.
No, there's
couple of months in there, but that's all. And that's the reality of it for most people. A couple of months. If you lost it, well, that's all you have. 2 months rent or 2 months mortgage. So if they did it to me, of course it would hurt. It would sting. So that's something just to be aware of.
Thank you so much, Richie. I think a lot of every. I think they already know that, Richie. Most people already know. And to be honest, mate, money in the bank is nothing because you don't get anything from it. And, I totally agree. I've been pushing the idea of something in your hand, buy a bit of gold or something. But even that, it's just like, it's a challenge to figure out things. For me, I bought more food because what if everything goes belly up, you need to eat. How are you going to eat? Well, you're going to have to use your hands. You're going to have to help people in ways that you can swap and do things. But let's hope it doesn't come to that. But on a final note, Richard, it's been great talking to you. On a final note,
it's been my pleasure.
If you were to come back into this world, knowing what you know now, and had a choice, which band would you join?
Which band? Which musical band would I join? The Silver Bullet Band, Bob Seger.
Really? What player would you be in that band?
I'd be the drummer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why is that? What is it about that?
My musical heroes have always been drummers, and I met my musical hero in Marbella. At the Palacio del Congressos.
Yeah.
I met the late, great Ronnie Tutt, who was Elvis's drummer for years and Neil Diamond's drummer. Wow. I just love drummers, like the great drummers. When you watch them drumming, you just can't believe what you're watching. Like, how can they do it? How did it's like they have 17 hands. I sometimes stick on a bit of heavy metal. Just look at some of the drummers. Nico McBrain. Is it Nico with Iron Maiden? Watch him drumming 2 minutes to midnight, and you're like, how's he doing that? Some of the jazz drummers, Buddy Rich and others. But I'd love to play the drums. Yeah, I'd love to play the drums.
Well, maybe next time you come back, you will do, mate. Next time.
Yeah, I'll be a drummer next time. If there's any justice, I'll be a drummer. I'll be a drummer in an all-girl band. Well, that's what I'll be.
Well, whatever you do, apparently, don't look into the light.
Don't look into the light, yeah. Look away.
It's a new book. It's a new book, though. That's all that matters. Anyway, Rich, it's absolutely lovely having you on. And we look forward for everything to be smooth, for the new system to come. Everything fits in, and your show begins with a wonderful, positive energy, and people are going to love it, mate. And they'll look forward to it, I'm sure. And everybody's been amazing on the chat. I don't know if you can see the chat, but it's pretty awesome.
No,
People
I
have
can't see
loved
anything.
it.
No. Oh, I should have been on comments, should I?
I don't know, but people love
I've
the
just seen
chat.
Patricia there. Is it wrong to suggest that the Mavericks would be your second choice, Richie? Yeah, she's very, very observant, is there, Patricia?
She's
Love the
sharp.
Mavericks.
Eh? We love
She's
Patricia,
sharp, yeah.
and
I should have had
my
that
love,
on. I didn't have the comments, so I'm embarrassed now.
my love
So,
to Patricia. She's
yeah,
one of the
great
most
lady.
amazing women that I've ever met. She's just so beautiful inside and out.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely spot
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity today. It was lovely of you to ask, and it really worked out great because it's been a good opportunity for me to show my face and to say to people, look, it is coming back. It really is. Like, it's only going to be another couple of weeks. I'm not going to be sunning myself on the Costa del Solford during that period. I'm going to be working really hard, and from tomorrow onwards, I'll be on the website posting stuff that might be of interest. It might not be, but yeah.
Will you make us a promise? Will you please jump on at some point and have a chat with Sheep Farm?
Oh,
please?
definitely. They've been in touch, and I've told them no problems.
Oh,
as
thank
soon as
you
I'm up
so
and running,
much. I'd love to hear
I
you all
watched it.
chat.
Yeah, it's really good, isn't it? They're really funny, those lads.
Yeah,
They're really good. Yeah.
They're
I like
great
it,
guys, great guys. Thank you so much. And there's another lot of guys called Rise Above, the beautiful lads. And if you ever
I
get a
must check
chance
that
to
out.
say
Yeah.
hello
The
to them,
rappers, right? You said?
no, they're actually geniuses. They're geniuses, and for us to deep dive, these guys go even deeper, but they do it with a lot of balance and love. So there's some good people out there, Richard. There really is some new energy coming up that are holding the fort for folk like us who are kind of losing the energy.
Well, but you know what? One of the things many years ago, the whole point of the Richie Allen show was to produce a radio show mirroring the standards of the mainstream media, having the production values, but obviously talking about different things. And I always hope that if we achieve that, and I like to think we did achieve it, you know, the Richie Allen show stands up against any mainstream media show in terms of production values, even if I'm talking complete nonsense, right? It doesn't matter. Production-wise, it's as good as anything. I'll say that without any fear of being called conceited. I'm not conceited. Production-wise, nothing compares to it. I always had the ambition that it would inspire others, that they would go, right, well, I've got production values. I can do it. And if we're starting to see that now, you know, people coming through and they're bringing that, particularly that quality mark, because you know yourself, if it doesn't look or sound good, you'll just skip over it.
It's true.
It has to look and sound good.
Yeah,
and can I? My final thing before you kick me off.
No, you can go on as long as you want, mate. I'm just observant of the time, and I don't want to take up any more of your time. We said an hour.
You're all right. Look,
you can crack on because we love you, mate.
No, I was just going to say, and it goes both ways, pal. I was just going to say, to anybody who's going to make a podcast or make a radio show, listen to mainstream radio, listen to BBC Radio 5 Live, listen to Radio 4, and that's the standard. If you want people to listen to it who maybe would never have given you a second glance or a second listen, it's got to sound. When we first started back in 2014, because I've been in radio so long, I didn't care when people were saying, "Oh, great show, Richie! Oh, it's amazing!" Great. Didn't care about that. What I really loved was when, Richie, it sounds like you could be on. It could fit into the BBC Radio 5 schedule. I'm like, yes.
Respect.
Now you're getting it. It. It's got a sound. So yeah. Listen to mainstream stuff, even if you hate it. If you're going to make podcasts, and challenge yourself to have that sound, that quality.
The quality and the sound, absolutely. But I struggle to listen to mainstream. In fact, now I can't breathe when I'm listening to it. And if I walk past the TV and TV is on with breaking news, I'm like, I'm feeling sick. I'm feeling. It's like I can't. It feels like the devil is talking.
Why do you think the bags have disappeared from under my eyes? It's because I had a break from it. We were down in Aberdovey or Aberdiffe, Aberdyfi, as they say in Wales. What a place.
Yeah.
We never had a better holiday in our lives. By the way, Caroline and myself celebrated 20 years together in July.
Oh, that's amazing.
20 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I don't know how I got away. I don't know how.
Wow.
Nobody would put up with me for 20 years. She's the only person I think on planet Earth. But yeah, that week was the best holiday we've ever had. I've never experienced anything like it. There was nothing to do except lie under the sun, read, and walk on the beach with the dogs. Nothing. There was nothing else to do. It was literally, shouldn't say literally, figuratively, in the middle of nowhere. So when we drove back, both of us were looking at one another when we got out of the car going, you look a bit different there to me. Yeah, I'm not carrying suitcases under my eyes.
Luggage. You're not carrying the emotional and the trauma. The trauma of mainstream breaking the back and breaking the spirit and breaking the soul.
But you know what? I don't think that listening to it has ever really negatively impacted on my energetic field. I don't think so, because I see the funny side of everything.
Amazing.
So when I'm listening to, say, Sky News Breakfast with Kay Burley, while at the same time listening to Nicky Campbell on Radio 5 Live from 9 o'clock, I'm laughing at the surrealist nature of it. It just feels so surreal to me that they're saying this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just laugh out loud.
Wow.
And I run to the machine to record a bit of it. So I'm like, right, I'll play that later on. During the monologue. I don't think it really wears me down that
brilliant.
much.
That's brilliant.
I just laugh, really.
That's brilliant. For me, I'm like, if anybody's listening to this, they're gonna buy into it. They're gonna buy into I know they're gonna buy into it. And my heart's beating thinking people are gonna buy into this and do it. You know, like the past 2 years, people are gonna, oh shit, people are gonna buy into this. People are going to buy, and they did, 95% did. I actually came on your show once and you said to me, are we going to win? And I said, the tables have tipped. It was, I remember saying it, it's 51%. So now we're winning. And then all of a sudden I can hold my hand up now and say I was totally wrong, because what happened then was a barrage of fear. Fear takes over, and everybody at that time when I came on your show, everybody was going on holiday, free to do what they want, had money, and people were now saying, okay, I've got the money, I can go where I want. They were now questioning, because that when you're in a good place, you see things. You see things that you didn't see before. When you're in a bad place, you only see what you need to fix, and everything needs to be fixed now. So I realized the power of fear. It made me I realized the power of fear. The fear can sell. You can sell anything with fear, anything.
Yeah, and I think anybody who has ever experienced fear, I think, can go along with that. I had a difficult time growing up. I won't get into it. I've gotten into it on the radio show. It was pretty bad, and I don't remember the physical abuse anymore, but I do remember the fear, though. I remember the fear.
Yeah, I remember
how debilitating it was.
Remember at school when somebody says, just wait till break time. I'm going to keep you ready. That fear of break time, you were just thinking, I just want it to be over.
And you're so suggestible then, you'll take anything. So if somebody said to you, well, if you give me half your dinner money, or you're so suggestible to, and this is what's happened to people, Mark. We're going to see it. Look, we're seeing it with the climate change stuff. I thought I was hearing things recently. I was in Manchester city centre. It was only a couple of days back. I'd gone in to see Paul Ripley, our great friend and my engineer. And Paul was... The Fab Radio is over a NatWest Bank in Manchester, in a great old building. Beautiful studio there, Fab Radio, beautiful rooms. Lovely old building, several hundred years old. Anyway... Paul was in the middle of something, beautiful day. So he texts me and says, look, I'll be down in 3 minutes because I'm doing something to open the front door. No problem. So I go around the corner. There's a Costa coffee. God forgive me. Anyway. So I'm sitting there drinking a bottle of still water. And I've no reason to say this unless it's true. I hear a couple talking about holidays.
Yeah.
A couple of women. They've got lanyards on, right? So they're working for some company somewhere on Portland Street. And one of them is saying to the other one, like, have to think about where we go. And maybe the best thing is maybe to be staying at home, like what with, pollution and climate change and stuff.
And the weather, the hot weather, the sun.
Yeah. And I looked over like this, am I hearing this? Like, and I was, having a discussion about how it might not be morally the right thing to do to get on an airplane on account of that we're fighting this great titanic struggle against the climate, which is nonsense. The sun drives climate change on planet Earth. CO2 follows temperatures. Temperatures doesn't follow CO2. These are scientific facts. And she's talking about it. And of course, what occurred to me then was how many other such conversations might be going on like this around the country. And next year, staycation. And we'll get the train. We won't drive. No. We'll get the train next year to Cleethorpes. God forgive us. Don't go to Cleethorpes. I know I'm speaking to a Yorkshireman. Don't go to Cleethorpes, folks. Read the Adrian Mole books. Do not go to Cleethorpes. It's the worst place on planet Earth.
Yeah, Blackpool.
It's actually not. It's lovely. Cleethorpes is lovely. People there are lovely. But fear, Mark, you're so right. Fear.
Yeah.
People start to change what they do. Right. Yeah. Benidorm next year. No, maybe not. Maybe not Benidorm. Yeah. And then it becomes, if we do go to Benidorm, and then later in the year we take a weekend in Amsterdam, we get on an EasyJet. What will the neighbour say?
Yeah.
You climate-killing monster. Yeah. People start to think about stuff like that,
It's so true.
Fear.
It's so true. Yeah. I've got to admit, I get up now and walk as far away from the conversation as possible because I can't cope anymore. I'm literally growling. It's like I can't just get me out of here. I can't cope with these conversations because it's so mind-boggling.
It's so sad, isn't it? It's so sad.
I'm lost. I kind of feel like sometimes I lose hope in humanity.
Yeah. Where's the skepticism, Mark? Where's the skepticism? That's all I say to people. Look, I'm reasonably well known around here. So in the park, I'll get stopped. Oh, I'm missing the show, Richie. Yeah. Or that was a decent show the other night. Or you shouldn't have kept interrupting that guy the other night. We know you didn't agree with him or whatever, right? Fair enough. That's good. But every now and then I'll meet somebody who says, I was told to listen to your show. What a load of
bollocks.
and I say, where's your skepticism gone? Why are you buying this stuff like? All I'm asking you is to be a bit skeptical.
Yeah.
They told you, COVID was deadly and that you had to lock yourself in your home and you couldn't go out for more than an hour a day. But where's your skepticism? Where's your eyesight? Where's the bodies?
Yeah.
Where's the bodies? Where's the carts coming around the street to collect the dead bodies? There's no pandemic. Where is your... And that's the thing. You want to shake people.
It doesn't matter, though. It doesn't matter because they've already been programmed, Richard. That first initial program of China and of all them bodies in bags all the way, that was it. That all they saw was themselves and their family in that bag, in them bags, which, as you know, wasn't actually any of...
Do we need to be a bit more humble then? Do we? I don't mean we, because you are humble. Do I need to be more? Because if I hadn't discovered some of the things I discovered, I could quite easily have been the bloke saying, why aren't they wearing masks, those COVIDiots? Why aren't they having their vaccines?
Well, that's the whole point, though, Richie, because you said that.
Would have been me.
You said you at the beginning of this, you mentioned, 9/11. We've all bought into something until we realize, I've been shafted here. Yeah. And every day we're discernment now is the most important word in the world. If we can't now figure out right from wrong, then we're shafted. We're totally shafted. But then we're shafted anyway. What are you going to do if you don't pay your electric bill? You're going to be thrown into a prison. Don't pay your tax. It's okay because they're giving them guns in America now to well that
said, Mark. And people used to be so skeptical.
Yeah.
We arrived in Spain in, I can't remember, late 2004, early 2005, I can't remember. And Caroline got a gig. She's an accountant, so she got a gig with a firm in Gibraltar. I swear to God, sold up everything, came to live in Spain with nothing to do.
Me too, mate.
Except prop up a I still, right?
Yeah.
I had nothing.
Yeah.
What was I doing there? I was terrified now. I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah,
Anyway,
me
I'm there. So I start to frequent the local establishments,
as you do.
as you do. And I loved the skepticism of people. I remember I was in a bar one evening, a bar that eventually Caroline took over, a bar called Cheers. It was being run by a nice guy, but he was a pisshead. It was going nowhere, and he wanted to offload it. But long story short, so I'm in there, we're sitting down one night, and of course, this is a small community, expat. So who's this guy like? So they started asking me questions. Yeah, radio and all that, radio presenter, Ireland. And it dawned on me after a few seconds that they didn't believe a word of it.
Because you don't. In
They
Marbella,
didn't believe
nobody believes
exactly.
anything.
They didn't believe a word of it. I'm like, these people, they think that I'm spinning them a yarn. I actually did work in radio. I actually did teach radio
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
City
yeah.
and Guilds. I'm qualified. I've got some degrees. I wasn't saying all this now. I wasn't bragging.
No.
They asked me, what did you do? How did you get into that? I could
Yeah.
see they weren't believing me.
Yeah.
And there was a healthy dose of skepticism. The idea that don't trust what some stranger tells you.
Yeah.
But here we are. What
Yeah.
is it now? Nearly 20 years later.
Yeah.
And they're being told to believe the most ridiculous things.
Yeah.
And they're going, oh, okay, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
But what happened to your fucking skepticism?
Yeah. It's
I
incredible.
told you I had a bog standard, boring radio production job. It was hardly sexy. You wouldn't believe me.
Yeah.
But they have a vaccine that's come out in a few weeks. They want you to take 5 of them,
Yeah.
and you're believing them.
Yeah.
Where's your skepticism gone? Where's your
It's
suspension of
incredible.
disbelief? It's
Yeah,
mad.
this coast is incredible. When I first moved here, like you, I came with nothing, and I did my first show. I was selling bracelets because we had some bracelets from UK. This guy came up to me, loads of badges, and he went, "Oh, hello, son." I went, "Hi." He says, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "No." He says, "I'm the mayor of Leeds," and I'm thinking,
Mayor of Leeds.
"You're not the mayor of Leeds. I know the mayor of Leeds. I met him like 3 months ago. You're not the mayor of Leeds." And then somebody said to me, "You know what it is, Mark?" I said, "What?" He says, "When they get off the plane, right, they go through this metal detector, but it changes them as soon as they go through, and they become everything that they weren't back in the UK."
They
And he
reinvent
said,
themselves.
"Don't believe anything that anybody says here.
Harmless enough, really, isn't it?
It's harmless, but
Yeah.
I'm mayor of
Anyway.
Leeds." Right, all these badges, and I'm thinking, wow, that this is kind of a strange place. But
This
I
guy
ended up
used-
living here.
You and I've been very happy there. I mean, look at you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. I love it here, and I travel all over. Well, I did do. I don't travel anymore because I won't, do any of those things. But yeah, I was saying that when I was in Bali, I went to a little island in Bali. It was just a little tiny island called Gili Air. You can walk around it in 20 minutes, and people who work there for $100 a month. That's what they get paid for working there. And I asked these guys, I actually left them €100 for a tip when I left. And I said, just before I left, why do you work for $100 a month? And they said, like, they looked at me like this and said, "Turn around." So I turned around. He said, "What you're looking at?" I said, "The sea." He said, "Look up." And I looked up. "What do you see?" "The sun." What more do you need?" And I thought,
There you are.
yeah, it
If
made
I
me
can
realize we every one of us has this idea that we know something more than somebody else, but somebody could be looking at you saying, "But why would you get a bottle of water from there filled with toxins? Because it's plastic." And then that person who said that, somebody could say to them, "Hang on a minute, what about you?" So all of us, without knowing, we're actually all, we're not hypocrites, but we're all to the degree and the level of our understanding, of our best of our understanding. But there's always somebody who knows more, right?
Over. Absolutely. I realize that every day of the week, every time I do a radio show. Absolutely right. I'm challenged about my preconceived ideas, Yeah,
But people love you though, Richard. People love you for who you are and the fact that you're genuine, and the fact that one of only few shows that allows people to speak. It's a breath of fresh air, and it's kept us all going over this madness that we've been through. And
Thanks for saying that, Mark.
Yeah, we seem to have forgot as well, Richie. A bit like a woman getting pregnant. When she's just had the baby, the first thing she said is never again. And a third one's on her way. It's like, what is it in humanity? We forget the pain and suffering that we go through.
I don't know. That's a brilliant point. I do not know. It's brilliant that. It's interesting that because some of the press in this country have just started to have a little look at lockdowns in the last week or so. I know that Rishi Sunak, who has come out and said that he was arguing against lockdowns during that. Well, he's saying that now, right?
Was it? A lot of people are saying these things now.
No,
and blowing the trumpet now because it's eased off, so they're not going to get into trouble. I get
I don't want to give the impression that I believe him. Of course, I don't necessarily believe him. But he's saying that the evidence is there, that he was arguing against it, that he not just for economic reasons, but also for health reasons, for what they would do. Now, the Telegraph ran a story about midway through July. Big peer-reviewed study by one of the medical magazines, or the medical journals, I should say, the medical journals, that says that it's fairly provable now that the negative health effects of lockdown itself far outweighed any effects of COVID-19 itself, whether people want to believe it exists or not. Let's just say it exists for the sake of the argument. So this was out there. Now, I knew nobody would pick up on this. I knew none of the broadcast media would pick up on it, but it was out there. It's out there. It's not just been in the Telegraph. I know the Mail covered it. Even the Times covered it. And now Sunak is saying, we shouldn't have locked people down. We shouldn't have done that. It was wrong and all of that. And the reason I mention this is because I think you're right. I think, sadly, and again, I don't want to, as we approach the end of this brilliant chat, I don't want to end on any negative notion. But I think if we get into late October, early November, and they start telling lies about flu epidemics, and they say that the flu has come back, and now we have a strain of COVID, and we don't have the capacity at the NHS, so maybe we need to restrict some of what we are doing. Maybe we should have kind of a half of a lockdown. I believe exactly. I believe what you hinted at a moment ago would come to pass. They'd go along with it. Yeah. The majority would go along with it. Yeah. It wouldn't occur to them, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. No, they'd say, "I'll go on then. Let's have lockdown. So long as you give us some furlough money and you borrow more money from the Bank of England, which, of course, is fake money, which will never be paid back, and which, of course, will be the reason for future economic collapses and banking collapses and all that nonsense, which we're not going to get into now. But yeah, I believe you're right. They will go along with it again if it happens in the autumn or the early winter.
So the only thing that we can do, Richie, is box clever and just be aware. Aware of what may happen, and if it doesn't, then we say hooray. If it does, then we're prepared. So I'll end this. That my understanding is try and find places that have local organic food where you can get it, because you might not be able to rely on your friendly neighborhood non-food supermarkets. So find new friends and people who are buy or hire an allotment for $5 a week and start learning to grow your own food. And start to save some of your save some of your rice, your beans, and save some of it in your house just in case. I got like a Calagas, a couple of Calagas bottles, 2 or 3 or 4 of them. I've got 4 now, and a little Calagas ring. Why? What if they turn the electric off? What if it all goes off one day? So it's okay. I've got my Calagas bottles. They can't stop me from cooking my food. So everything that we're trying to do is we're trying to arm ourselves with if, but we're not going down the path of those that, well, we don't call them conspiracy theorists. Well, we're just saying we don't want to end up being crackpots and digging tunnels and spending hundreds of thousands on bunkers, but we're just trying to be more aware that what could happen. Because if somebody said, I'm sorry, there's no more food coming in the trailers, there's no more food now, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It only takes a week for all the food. It takes a day for all the food to disappear from the shelf. So it's just the little things that I've done. So I've got a farm. I've got chickens now.
That's right.
So I've done what I walk the walk, talk the talk. I don't just say do it and then still live in my apartment. I do. I've got loads of food all stored, right? But I've not gone crazy with it. I've not gone around screaming to everybody, do it. It's the end of the world. You remember Pompeii, up Pompeii. Oh, whoa, oh, whoa. Everything's going to end, I don't do that. But I'm just saying to people, just be a little bit savvy and just save a little
the bases,
bit. Yeah. I mean, but most people can't be asked, to be honest. It's like, here's my Visa card. I don't care that, a new coffee company's now become totally cashless, which is the biggest coffee company in the world. Well, listen, mate, don't go and have a coffee. Go somewhere else, because what that's going to do is send a message to everybody else that, you know what, they're going to go there because, it's my card. It's all right, my card. Everybody's got a card anyway. And they can't see because they're lazy. Oh, you go to a supermarket. Be honest. Do you go to a supermarket and go to the lady who's going to serve you? Or do you go to the machine that's quick and easy? You know what? You're a hypocrite if you do that, because
absolutely
people,
right.
So you can make a difference, but then it's upsetting because nobody else is doing it, and you feel like you're the only one. I went to England to see my son and grandson for the first time, Richie, right? You would not believe how many people were spitting and cursing at me. Why? Because, excuse me, sir, I choose to opt out to go in that radiation machine because of health reasons.
Oh,
They were fighting. I do it everywhere.
Oh, I can imagine.
Fighting and screaming and standing up. Listen, son. I'm saying, look, I'm 54 years old. I'm not a son. I've done this long enough. I'm not well. I'm sick, and I don't want to go through. Show me proof. I don't need to show you proof. So I stood there arguing for 15 minutes, and eventually they let me through without going in that machine.
Good for you.
I don't give a shit whether people were angry or not with me. I'm not just going in the machine. I don't want to go in it. I'm not lifting my hands up. I'm not being shot with that. Why? Well, I'm all right, son. I've been working here 5 years. Well, what happens next week if you find you've got cancer? What are you going to do then? What if you find out it was that? Just because you've been working here 5 years and nothing's up with you, who says that in another 6 months or a year? You don't know, mate. And actually, if you just do a deep dive on that, you'll find that there is a mass factual evidence that people who work by the machines have cancer, get cancer.
Are more likely to come down with it.
Absolutely. The statistics are there. They don't care. Nobody cares. They just get on with their life and shut up. You're a pain in the ass. You're spoiling it for everybody else. And that's how they get away with it. But I don't listen to that. I just stand my ground.
It's the herd mentality. And you're the outlier at the age who says, this makes no sense to me, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Which is the right way to be.
I had a smile on my face, Richard.
Dogs are picking off here.
It's okay. I had a smile on my face all the way through it. So that bothers them as well. If you smile at the same time.
If you're not losing the rag, that really grates on them, doesn't it? Yeah. That's the thing. If you can it's the Kipling thing about keeping your head while everybody else is losing theirs.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant thing. Yeah, it really is.
Listen, Richie, I wish you all the best. Thank you for being here.
Mark, you're great. I wonder will Leia pop in. Leia, come here. Do you want to come up and say hello? Come on up. Come up here. The retriever. Come on. The German Shepherd won't do it. Come up and say hello to everybody. Come on, quick. Come on, you loony. Here, come here.
Oh, beautiful.
Well, girl.
Oh, beautiful. What would we do without them, eh? I don't think some people don't understand the love of animals unless they have them. So most people don't get it, but some people do. The love of animals is incredible. Healing.
Can't live without them,
Yeah, not just that, though. They heal your heart. They strengthen you in so many ways. If you're down, feeling sick or upset, they clear. I mean, the soul's like us. There's a soul in there, and it's a bigger, beautiful soul. And the more I get to know people, the more I love animals.
Yeah, and you get to the stage where you don't entirely trust people who don't like them.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. My a friend of mine didn't like animals at all, and then they got one, and now they're more closer to that animal than anybody in the world. So I think sometimes I kind of stop giving people a chance because of what we've been through, because of I've been so upset. But really, I think we all have our awakening, and when we say something, we don't always mean it. And I think at the end of the day, they're my brothers and sisters, and we're all on one planet, and we should realize that we're all here for a reason.
Hey, listen, before you get any abuse, those are the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
They're not pyramids.
Yeah,
Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
John Denver.
Yeah, beautiful.
You can't do anything. You can't even clasp your hands.
No, it's a great idea, Richard, to clasp your hands.
You can't do any of that.
What I did was a load of these kind of things, right? Just to say, guys, do you remember me doing it? Take a screenshot, guys, because you might as well do it now. You might as well get it over with, all right? But yeah, that is the problem, I think, with coming down this path of awakening. We start to not believe anybody and anything.
Remember you said this earlier on.
That is so awful. It's so heartbreaking. Yeah. Don't go down that path. But anyway, Richie, we'll see you soon. We'll see you on the Richie Allen radio show. We're looking forward to listening to all your beautiful guests, mate.
You've done me a great service, a great favor by having me on. Just a great way to kind of show my face and have a chat. So you know how much I love you here. You know how much El Frago Tremendo thinks of you. Yeah. Never shuts up about you. To the point that if we were living in the same area, I'd start to wonder a little bit, to be honest. But no, I wouldn't really. She's got all the time in the world for you, pal. She sends her best as well. And look, the next time we chat will be on the radio show.
Yeah. Listen, Richard, thank you so much. Honestly, it's been a breath of fresh air to have you on, and let's hope this records and people can hear your voice and say, oh, you know, it's like, oh, he's back again. He's back again.
Look what I'm wearing today. Mark gave me a present of this many years ago.
Moldavite.
Always have it on me, not just today.
Beautiful.
Always have it on me. Yeah, my big hairy chest there, gorgeous.
Yeah, I've got those as well, a hairy chest.
Yeah, I've got hair in all the wrong places.
All the right places.
None of the right places. Absolutely.
Yeah. Take care, Richard.
Thanks, pal. Speak real soon. And thanks to everybody who watched.
Yeah, they loved it. I mean, the messages have been great. It's been great. Cheers, Richard. Take care. Night.
All the best. Bye for now.